All right, it is 12:01, so we're gonna get started here. I'm gonna throw it over to my colleague Nicole here. She's gonna introduce us a little bit, and then we'll get started. Nicole?
Hello. Thank you. Hello. Hello, everyone. So glad to have you all here with us for what is now kind of an ongoing series where we're really looking at uh, caregiving and specifically caring for that loved one with Alzheimer's and dementia and some of the unique components of that. So happy to see some folks that have returned from last month's sessions. Very exciting to see you. So for this webinar, we're going to be focusing in on the impacts on family members as those symptoms of Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia progress, because we know that Alzheimer's is a progressive illness. And, it starts out maybe as some forgetfulness, confusion, even things that may be hard to detect at first. Those symptoms obviously progress, and there are other symptoms too that we'll discuss as we kind of take you into the mind and through the eyes of an individual that is living with Alzheimer's. So glad to have you all here. So I want to give just a brief overview of how this webinar will go, because we're going to try to keep things on a pretty tight schedule. So we're going to do the welcome and introductions here. We're going to do a little bit of a program overview, explaining, a little bit about kind of the program that we use in terms of how we frame these webinars, and we show some of these impacts. Then we're going to get into the nitty gritty. We are going to be walking through some vignettes, some moments of life. Like I said, we're going to be in the mind and through the eyes of an individual that is living with Alzheimer's disease. So we're going to go through, I think, 3 or 4 different moments that will kind of capture what that experience is like. And we'll have uh, some questions that we're going to ask in advance. And then we're going to have just a few minutes here to talk after we go through this training about what the experience was and really hit on what some of the takeaways are. We'll have some time for some Q&A. And then we'll talk a little bit about what's on deck next. So that's going to be the format of today's webinar. And introductions. My name is Nicole. I'm the Director of Community Initiatives here at Caregiver Action Network, and I assist with lots of our webinars, trainings, things like that that we offer to family caregivers. So I am really excited to be here, and this is an opportunity for us to hear from you all as well. So definitely make use of those chats. I see lots of folks sharing in chat, which is wonderful throughout the webinar. So I'm happy to be here.
And my name is Dakota Heath. Happy to be here as well. I'm the John Shaw Policy and Programs Fellow here at Caregiver Action Network. I'm the newest member of the Caregiver Action Network team. I focus a lot on policy-related issues as they affect caregivers, and I'm super excited to be showing this off to you guys today.
Great. So a few things that I want to hit on of what we're hoping you'll walk away from this webinar with. One will be those insights and how Alzheimer's and dementia can impact family as a whole, and how caring for a loved one with Alzheimer's and dementia is really going to look different in every scenario, because every individual is unique. No matter who you're caring for, no matter what disease or condition they may have, um, they're unique. Their needs and support needs are going to be unique. So many factors go in to make all of these facets very individualized. And so um, it's important that as we're looking at one specific scenario here, as we get into some of these vignettes, some of this may seem very applicable or very similar to maybe something that you're experiencing as a caregiver, or can look very different. And so we really want you to keep that in mind and think about if it is something, that looks similar or different, what is something that kind of resonates within those moments for you that could be impactful in providing care. Ideas of how to handle family situations and conversations. It's always really tricky. Uh, we often are not just solo caregivers, we're part of a care team. And so we have to be in constant communication with other members of that care team. So those other family members, friends that may be assisting with care. And so we'll be hitting on a little bit about, having some difficult conversations and making sure that that communication stays effective. Strategies on how to navigate safely and smoothly through what I think are some pretty scary and tense moments that can pop up in caregiving. Um, we want to kind of bring some light of, in the way that we, again, present these through the eyes of the individual living with Alzheimer's. It being really not only in a moment, how are we operating in these moments to keep your loved one safe, but also keep yourself safe too. So it's really about kind of safety for all in that scenario. And then one thing I do want to highlight is kind of a bonus for California residents, or any of you from California that are joining us. There is a no cost access to some of this immersive training that we offer through this partnership with Caregiver Action Network and CalGrows. And so there will be some information after this webinar for how you can get connected with that. So again, really excited for you all to be joining us. And yeah, I think now I'm going to flip this over to Dakota. And Dakota, why don't you talk a little bit about our previous webinar?
Absolutely, Nicole. So recently, on June 6th, we held another webinar in kind of this series that we've been doing, as Nicole said, that explored the early signs of Alzheimer's and what we can do better to understand and work with our loved ones who are affected by this disease. And today, as Nicole said, we're kind of taking that and moving a little bit further into understanding like family dynamics within caregiving for someone with Alzheimer's. So super excited to see how you guys react to some of the information that we're going to present to you today. And kind of if any of you attended our previous webinar, thank you, number one. But number two, just kind of compare those earlier stages with how Beatrice may be acting now, or how her family is treating her in these situations that she finds herself in currently as opposed to before.
Right. So, like I mentioned at the top, we are going to be asking just some very, very quick and I think fairly simple questions here that are just going to help us as we get into some of these training moments. Get you thinking about some of the things to have in mind. So as you're going through these, we can have some good discussion at the end. So Dakota is going to be popping up a poll here, um, and you will be prompted to respond. Now, if for some reason you do not see the poll, I know that when we did this last month, there were some people that had some issues. I don't know if it's a setting on some folks' end that we're trying to figure out how we can help folks navigate that, but it's no worry. The questions are on the screen, so you can feel free to utilize that chat and respond um, with with your thoughts as well. So, Dakota, have you shared the poll?
Yes.
Okay.
Looks like we have 10 responses in so far, and
Nice.
seeing a lot of twos, mainly kind of in that middle ground. And Stephanie, perfectly fine. We understand, like we said. Um, if you can't see the poll, please just enter in your answers in the chat. We will understand fully what you guys are trying to get at here.
Yep. And one thing I will say, if you go into the chat, I think there's a little message there that has the poll in it too. So if it's not popping up for you, you may want to try clicking on it because that can bring it up as well. But we'll certainly take note of your responses in chat. So yeah, to what Dakota was saying, um, you see quite a few twos. I saw someone that had ones, which I think we can all relate. Um, this is fantastic. Give just another second here.
Lots of twos, lots of threes, some ones in there. Hopefully we'll be able to boost those numbers up by the end of this training.
Exactly. Yes. And so, yes, you are seeing their questions labeled 3 through 6, but that's just because we had some initial, like, introductory questions. And this is really getting at the meat of of what we want folks to kind of enter into these training sessions. Like I said, with some things on mind. So, yeah, I I am seeing quite a few ones, which, um, from my own caregiving experience, I can certainly understand. Um, so really appreciate of folks sharing. And I see Eric, you had put in the chat a specific error message that you got. So thank you for that because that does help us.
Yeah, that does
Um,
help us a lot.
so appreciate that.
Okay. We will take this into consideration when moving forward with the polls. Thank
Yeah.
you for letting us know that.
Okay. But thank you all who have responded to the poll and who shared in chat. That's really, really helpful for us. So I
So
think now, Dakota, you are going to boot us into the training session.
I sure am, and I'm gonna make sure that all of my volumes are turned up for you guys here to make sure that we will be able to hear this as well as possible. Because sorry about that. It's going too far forwards there. Um, uh, the modules that we're going to be going over today are going over different situations that the family of Beatrice, the individual who has Alzheimer's, may be finding themselves in. And these are situations that may be unfamiliar or familiar to you. Um, and I just wanted to mention that I was talking about the sound earlier because while in this experience, you're going to be embodying a character, Beatrice, and at times their sight and hearing might be affected by their condition. This is completely intentional. It is not a problem with your video or your computer or anything like that. If you hear any weird sounding things in the video, or maybe the screen seems a little blurry or a little blacked out, that's due to Beatrice's condition and how she's living her life and seeing and hearing things. So please be aware of that. And strong emotional reactions are common in these modules. We've had individuals need to step away for a little bit or leave the room in case they were having those strong emotional reactions. So we completely understand if you may have those reactions and need to step away for a second. It's completely understandable. Um, but we're going to be moving on now. Um, so for a little bit of information on Beatrice herself, Beatrice Rogers has been a math teacher for nearly 4 decades. Beatrice enjoys spending time with her family, especially her grandson Junior, cooking and going to Mass every Sunday. Beatrice loves listening to music and is always ready to dance. And you'll get to meet Beatrice and some more of her family members here in a second, where we're going to be diving into a holiday family gathering. I'm sure that might be familiar to some of you, given that we just had a holiday recently. This one is more centered around Christmas, but it still gives you that idea of having that family gathering while taking care of someone with Alzheimer's. So again, if you have been with us for our previous webinar, um, in this scene, you'll experience, like I said, a family holiday gathering with late stage dementia. And I want you to notice how things may have changed as the Alzheimer's disease progressed in Beatrice, as if you were here for the last one. And consider how to continue to create meaningful moments for those living with late stage dementia or Alzheimer's, even if they can't be as lively or as youthful as they once were. So we're going to get started here. I'm going to make sure to turn on closed captioning just in case it is a little bit difficult to hear for anyone.
Yeah, Dakota, there's no sound.
Oh, apologies for that. Whenever I started sharing, I didn't share with sound. That is totally my fault there. Let's go with uh let's go with this one. And then we go to share, Windows, that, this. All right, I'm gonna restart this now. Should be able to hear sound now.
You remember me, right?
Remember when I got to wear your wedding dress to my wedding? I think you got it off wedding.
Alice, I don't think she remembers your wedding.
Can I put on our gift? Not no, sweetie. Give him a few more minutes.
What about that time when people are going to send the mariachi band? Dos pantalones!
Mom, I don't think she remembers these things. I think she will like this. Give him a few more minutes. It makes him feel better. Here, Camilla. I thought you'd love it. Oh, thank you. Oh. And for you, Alice. Let's get at you. Veronica, Merry Christmas. I did. Oh, Joseph, of course. Save the best for last. Feliz Navidad. Oh.
Something's happening. No, she loves it. Veronica, you know what to do.
I certainly do. Good. Look at you.
Come on, Mom, have some fun.
So that was just one of the few examples that we're going to be showing today. Um, and I just wanted to say that uh, now we're going to go over some kind of reflect and apply of what we just saw and kind of go over what we just learned there. So, Nicole?
Yeah. So while Dakota's going to set up the next vignette, a couple of things, that you can put in the chat is what are some things that you noticed about this experience and about the scene itself? And then what are some of the takeaways? This was a vignette about coming together during the holidays. And it was really touching to me because um, you could sense that Beatrice was having some issues feeling connected to the event and with her family. But then you have Junior that is dancing with her, and it seemed to kind of bring her back to a very, very happy place. And she was able to have a good time with her family, and it was a very joyous moment. So it talks about some of those things that when you are having these events, things that you can maybe plan for or build in to make sure that your loved one is, feeling incorporated and getting those experiences as well. And so it's a great time for everyone.
Absolutely. And just how important music is for individuals with Alzheimer's and dementia, and just how that can really bring out those memories for them and really excel at giving them that feeling of normality again.
Yeah. And I will say one thing. I did see some comments in the chat about the volume. I don't know if there's much we can do on our end. It's just one of those things when you're sharing from app to app. Um, but we'll try to get the volume as loud as possible. But I think some of you have also noted in the chat that there were some intentional um, kind of audio and visual things where the sound seemed to fade completely out. And again, it felt like people were talking, but she couldn't hear them. I've seen some folks um, also chatting about, it seeming like people were talking around her, but not to her. So, all important things to know, and all things that we can take away as caregivers and say, all right, well, when I'm at this gathering, how is this going to impact now the way that I'm approaching this event with my loved ones? So, great.
So we're now going to move into a less joyous module now, unfortunately. But in this scene, we're going to be talking about sundowning, or what is commonly known as sundowning. It is a change in mood or behavior that approximately 20% of people living with dementia slash Alzheimer's experience in late afternoon slash early evening. It can be triggered by low light, boredom, pain, stress, social isolation, or sleep problems. Common signs of sundowning include anxiety, paranoia, restlessness and pacing, agitation, fear, crying, and wanting to leave or saying just simply, I want to go home. You'll experience Beatrice going through a scary situation here in the next module where she believes someone is trying to break into her home and she's unsure of who this potential intruder could be. You'll also notice some little boxes throughout the module that I'm going to click on, and those provide a bit more context to the situation, as well as some tips or pointers of how things could have been handled differently or the situation as a whole. So we're going to get started here with this one. See, these are some of the little check boxes I was talking about. So bright light and noise can be overstimulating, disorienting, A bright light in a severely dark room, such as the TV, can be super overstimulating and disorienting to an individual with Alzheimer's. Similarly, low light can also create visual confusion, which can intensify physical slash mental fatigue. If you look over here on the wall, you'll see the shadow of the person at the door, and that can be very scary to an individual who doesn't know what's going on.
For help. Osco's there.
I'm so sorry, Mom. I was making him out of soccer today. It's okay.
Help them to
It's
leave.
me, Godzilla. You're Robert. Junior, can you open the curtains?
Should I get her spoons?
It's okay. She's just scared, honey. It's okay. It's okay. See? See, it was just the fan. And me and Junior. Okay? You okay? Is that better, Mom? Junior, can you bring out the suzzles out?
Do I have to?
I think she'd like it if you did.
Okay. Look, Grandma, it's a cow. Hey, I heard this in class the other day, and I thought about you. Now, how did it go? Oh, yeah. What's a bird's favorite type of math? Algebra. Get it?
So that was just a little example of sundowning. These clips are going to be shorter. That's why we want to take some time to talk to you afterwards about them. Um, and while I get the next one prepared, Nicole's going to talk a little bit about sundowning and some strategies to reduce sundowning and the anxiety and fear that someone might get from it happening.
Right, so you can see if you want to take quick note of the strategies around sundowning. So remaining calm, keeping light consistent. So we noticed that the room that Beatrice in was very dark. Plan quiet activities for evening. So around that time that sundowning would typically start, start to build in some routines that can assist with that. So puzzles was one, and we saw Junior bring out a puzzles to put together for grandma, and then food and snacks, things like that. Again, this is one of those things where everyone's experience is going to be a little bit different. And so, as we're seeing how her daughter, in the moment is reacting, um, you see a lot of these things coming into play. The daughter seems to have kind of a grasp on some ways that can help diffuse the situation, make her mom feel safe, supported, and help calm anything else down. So, and I really love you all putting kind of your own experiences in the chat. It has been phenomenal to read. So I think Dakota's going to kick us off with our next moment here.
Yes, we want to be respectful of your time, and we would love if you all can stay with us for the entire thing, but completely understand if there's any 12:30 deadlines. Again, love that you guys can spend the time with us. Moving on, we're going to be looking into dangerous situations. In this scene, we'll be experiencing a dangerous situation, completing self-care activities. And I want you to notice just how this makes you feel, both from being in Beatrice's perspective as well as how her caregiver and daughter in this situation is feeling as well. Uh, and also consider what self-care tasks may present challenges for someone living with dementia and what might be helpful to prevent or preserve independence while prioritizing safety. So we're going to get started here with this short little clip. This is a shower scene in which Beatrice is taking a hot shower, and it ends up getting a little bit too hot for her, and she doesn't necessarily have the capacity to make that aware to anyone. And it's not until her daughter finds her that this dangerous situation starts to unfold.
Hot. Oh, that's really hot. Call for help.
My mommy, what happened? How did it get so hot? Mommy, oh mommy. Sure day. I don't understand what is my spending anymore. I don't get how I can help you anymore. Junior! Junior! Can you please call your dad for help?
All right. So this is a scenario that I think lots of folks can probably relate to if you're assisting your loved one with some of those kind of daily activities like showering and things like that. I think that one of the reasons that this vignette stands out to me is that we do get kind of a focus on a caregiver experience in this moment too. She's rushing in to help her mom because she hears her mom yelling and kind of in the fear, a very tense situation, not knowing what is going on. And so, it just kind of makes me reflect on how that makes you feel, just the intensity of the moment, and the fear because you're worried about your loved one. Um, so, some strategies to help, and I did see the note about keeping that one screen up that has those notes. And so it's a little difficult with how we have to switch screens, but we will make note of that for next time. But if you want to take a couple of notes here, I'll try to share. One is again keeping calm in these scenarios as much as you can. Um, it's always helpful when you're able to bring some calmness to a situation. It helps keep things from escalating and can also help with your loved one. Um, the second one is, um, you know, if as symptoms progress, we need to maybe assess certain things, assess different processes, and different ways that we're assisting our loved one with some day to day activities. And so, is how we're getting Beatrice in the shower and all of that. Is that process right now working and is it the safest? And so, what are some things that we may need to consider? Some of these can be accessibility things, so having bars installed to help with support. Others can be, I know that some showers and baths will now have special uh,
Scold guards, I think you're looking for.
yeah, thank you. Thank you. That was the term, scold guards, that will stop it from turning all the way to heat. And, if you've had to go through some of these processes, my I've heard other caregivers uh, consider it also um, something similar to like prepping for having a child, a toddler in the house too. Just being concerned with people who may not be able to get to certain things, have those limitations, and making a space safe. And then also, um, one thing that I would throw out there, having an emergency plan in place. Because what if something were to happen? If the daughters had been perhaps severe, or something severe had happened, having a plan in place is so important so that anyone in the house can assist and not make the scene, more tense or chaotic than it needs to be. Um, Dakota, we had an ask from someone in the chat to put back up that list. I don't know if that is something that we're able to do.
Absolutely. I can pull that list up for
We
you.
hear you, Tressa. We're gonna let you see the list here for a second.
Let me just. This is the list.
Okay.
Yes.
So again, lots of things that we talked about, making the overall space more safe and accessible, both for her and for you as a caregiver. Um, a lot of people often don't think that some of these adjustments or accommodations that we make are as much for us as caregivers as it is for our loved one too, because it allows us to provide that support. It makes it easier as well. So sometimes it can feel there can be some complex emotions about making some of these changes, but it's all in the name of safety and making sure that your loved one has that care that they need.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to move on now. Hope that I have given enough time for this.
Yep.
Sorry about previously. Um, so we're going to move on to care planning, uh, which will be our last module for today. And in this scene, you will take part in a care planning meeting with your family, or what you would assume is you taking part in it, and with a home health nurse. As Beatrice has progressed through her stages, she now requires more support and supervision to remain safely at home. This is taking place directly after the shower scene, so there's going to be talks about the damage to her daughter's head and everything like that. I just want you to notice how you feel during the meeting, particularly about how they talk about you, not to you, but talk about you while you're there instead of act like you're a person. And that to me is the thing that really stands out the most. But also, please consider how family dynamics affect the caregiving process and how can you ensure care planning meetings are person centered. So, we're going to get started here.
Camila, how are you feeling?
I'm okay.
Joseph and I were talking, and we thought it might be a good idea if we get another person in here to help.
Just for a day or two a week.
I don't think that's a bad idea.
What if we mark shoot the nurse when she comes?
We can't afford any extra fur. It was just a little accident.
But you taught a constitution.
So what? You guys have barely been around the mouth 18 months, and in one rapid, you think you can fix it? Junior and I are fully capable of taking care of her.
Junior, Camila, she's just a chick.
Tell them to stop, please. I know it's something I did, but I don't know what.
Maybe I could stop by a day or two after my shifts.
No way. You won't do that job at night by yourself.
Here she is.
Who is this lady?
Hi, Beatrice. Do you remember me? I'm Nurse Gabby. Here for our monthly visit. I love your shirt today.
So, Beatrice, how have you been doing this month?
She's good. She's good. She has trouble cooking and cleaning, but we take care of that.
And she forgets a lot, but she seems that she's sleeping well, and she seems rested in the morning.
Gabby, I have to tell you, Camila met Ernesto yesterday in the bathroom.
Thank you.
And she's smothering her gall concession and has a cut on her hair she's shivering up.
Hey, why don't you mind your mom business and mom Irene just think you're yelping?
Excuse me? I don't understand.
You want Irene?
Okay, just have a seat. I'm sorry to hear that this happened.
We need to get Camila some help. She's the only pawn companion here regularly to take care of her.
I see. So, from what I can learn about the current situation, these are your options. There is a local adult daycare center about 3 miles from here.
Daycare? Really?
You could take Beatrice downstairs and see if she likes it, and if she would like to attend the center a couple days a week.
Thank you.
You could also contact the local Department of Aging to hire a part-time CNA. They usually toast us down $20 an hour, but the department might have resources to help with the cost. Caregiving is a marathon, not a sprint. I know you all care about Beatrice a lot, but Camilla, for you to continue to give her the best care, it's important that you give yourself a break too. Okay? Do you understand?
Okay, thank you. I do.
Okay. So we can leave this one up here for a couple of seconds as we close things out. I'm so grateful that you guys were able to stick with us. I know we're a little bit beyond time. But I think that this vignette is a really great one to close on because I saw lots of folks in the chat saying that this is something that they have experienced. And regardless of your loved one's condition, whether it be Alzheimer's, dementia, or lots of other conditions as well, this is a scenario that we may find ourselves in, needing to bring in some of that additional care. And so that can look a couple of different ways. That can look like bringing in that in-home care. It may be considering, is there an assisted living facility that would be the best fit for your loved one? And that can be hard. And I think it plays out perfectly in the scene, with the other daughter feeling the guilt and um, you know, uh, the the nurse's aide, I think her name was Gabby, coming in and saying, "You need a break too. Caregiving is a marathon and not a sprint." So I really love that. Um, and so just a couple of things to hit on here. Some takeaways would be, you know, resist that when we're having conversations to ask, remember, um, because this is basically putting the individual on a spotlight. It can make them feel uncomfortable, embarrassed, um, and that can make them, not handle that situation very. So, um, think about another way to approach that, um, including your loved one in the conversation. So, as we're making these conversations, it's important to factor in so many different things, but obviously we're we're there for one reason, and that's to make sure that our loved one gets the best care. And so making sure that they're part of that conversation as much as they are, and that we're facilitating that in the best possible way. So I love the little tag here at the end is to talk to them, not about them. Because how many times have we all been in a situation where it feels like someone's talking about us, but not to us, and we're here? Um, so, I think especially um, with kids, I, as someone with a rare disease, I remember going to the doctor's office and being at a certain age where I would have questions for the doctor and I'd want the doctor to talk to me, but it would feel like they were talking to my mom about me and not to me. And so that can be very depersonalizing and very dehumanizing. So always keep your loved ones' perspectives, goals, wishes, and their humanity, I think, at the forefront. And then, yeah, so, you know, prioritizing personhood. So when we think about individuals that do need to transition into maybe an assisted living facility, um, there are things that can be really important. So communicating with staff what their likes are and dislikes are, and that. But this all happens, I think, even if you're bringing in home care. It's important that the person, that anyone who is providing care for your loved one understands the personhood, who they are. So understanding all of those little nuances. Um, so with that said, I think we have one more poll and then we'll close it out.
Yes, this is correct. We're going to throw up another poll. Again, understand if there's issues seeing the poll completely. Sorry for that. Um, but we're going to throw up the post poll, which is just kind of to give us an idea of how things may have changed over time after the training based off of what you may have learned. Just to give us better understanding of where you came from and where you are now. So we'd love if you guys could fill out the poll if you see it. If you don't see it, you can just answer the questions that are on your screen as well in the chat.
Yep. Please take a moment. See some responses coming into the poll.
All right, 6 responses in so far. Seeing a lot of 2s and a lot of 3s so far. Yep, that's what it's looking like a majority of. 2s and 3s then.
I do hope that some of the things that we've covered here have been useful and have helped maybe raise a number or two for you and give you some things to think about, maybe some things to talk about with kind of members of your care team, and things that may have an impact on your day-to-day caregiving. You know, one of the things that we just want to be able to provide some useful information for you all, but also give you a space to share a little bit about your experiences as well. So thank you all for being here. Dakota, if you want to bring up the slide very quickly that shows our contact information.
First, though, I would like to say we have our help desk. Someone pointed out in chat asking about different ways and potentially like you're unable to find that kind of help in your home, getting someone to come into your home or anything. Help desk could be an option for you. It is our free, cost-free to you live support option that connects you with caregiving experts that can give you information that you may need at that time, day or night. You can get a hold of them and they will be with you.
Absolutely. And there's information on our website about that. Here is our contact information so that if you have additional questions, you can always feel free to reach out to us. We have our social media info there, our email address. This is the help desk number again. So please feel free to reach out. I have seen it pop up a couple of times, a question about recording of the webinar. we will be making a recording available to you all. So that will be coming out with some information following this session. So we are so grateful for you all to be here. We hope that you will join us next month as we talk more about Alzheimer's and caregiving and some of the unique challenges. There will be some information coming out about what that topic will be. And so we hope that you'll join us then.
Thank you all for being here, and we can't thank you enough again.